their rights. Joining me now to talk about the Black vote is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter, LaTosha Brown. Welcome to the show. Good to see you as always.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Talk to me about this election cycle. What are some things y'all are doing to get the community involved?
We have groundwork that is happening, field work currently right now in three buckets. One, we're doing a lot of voter education because there's a lot of misinformation that has been targeted towards certain members of our community. And so part of what our attempt has been is to try to literally get in front of that by giving people the correct information of what they need to really be able to engage in this process. The second thing is we also, in places like Georgia, we have SB 202. We have legislation that is now in place that makes it more challenging, that shortens some of the access points that people have to actually be able to vote. It creates some confusion of where people can vote and when they vote, and what access they have. And what we also know is there's been challenges. Just in the state of Georgia, we've been seeing voters be challenged. And so we've also had to do a lot of work around voter protection as well. And then the third thing is that we've literally been lifting up how critical this race is, that we want people to understand this isn't a race that's just about whether the Democrats or the Republicans are about who's the most charismatic candidate. We are literally fighting against white supremacy, that we think that this is a critical moment in this political history of this country. And under no circumstances can we continue to go forward and not recognize what it really is at stake.
You talk about SB 202 in Georgia. Are there other legislative changes that we should be thinking about or aware of as we head into the polls?
Oh, absolutely. When we think about Florida, what you see is Republican Governor Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida that created an entire force called this voting force that he's actually that with a budget of $1.2 million, that what we believe is that we are seeing that to be able to weaponize that particular force against people to create this culture of fear. I often talk about there's always these three strategies around voter suppression, the way it looks. One has been around restricting access to the ballot so people don't have free and easy access to the ballot. Two has been around weaponizing the administrative process. And the third has been creating a culture of fear. And we see a little bit of that all across this country. We see in Florida, we see laws that actually make it illegal to protest, illegal to gather. We see laws that literally formerly incarcerated people who were told by their county that they can actually register to vote. They've not only been targeted, but we've seen something as egregious as one of the men that actually was told by his county that he could register and vote, and he did so, that one morning, 6:00 in the morning, he wakes up and there is a SWAT team at his door and a helicopter in his backyard with police officers. They are literally traumatizing people literally from engaging in this process to create this culture of fear. We're looking at Texas Southern, one of the largest institutions that they no longer can have a voting site on campus. There's all of this, I call it death by 1,000 cuts. We're seeing voter suppression laws include and being coupled by all these other elements that are happening around misinformation and lies and targeting communities of color.
So when people hear all this, some people say, you know what? I don't doubt they're racist. I don't doubt the system is unfair. But their conclusion is my vote ain't going to matter anyway.
I think it's a couple of things. I think one, we have to really recognize around the rich, long history of Black resistance in this country. At the bottom line is we've never done something because it was easy to do it, because somebody else said that we had the right to do it. We have always stood in a space of resisting and reducing the harm to our community, not because we believe in the system, but because we believe in us. Every single aspect of our lives is governed by some public policy. That's just the truth. What sentence you get if you get in a legal situation, even a minimum wage, how much you're paid, where there's equity around your pay, even the policy that determines where we live. One of the ways to be able to engage into that process is really around voting and being able to impact policymakers. So at the end of the day, there are certain things that we want in our community. Absolutely. I always talk about this. I have a radical reimagination of what I think this nation should be, to be the nation that I desire and I deserve, and we're not there. But the truth of the matter is currently right now, there are public policies that are impacting our community and have a disproportionate impact on our community. And sometimes we have to make decisions that are really about reducing the harm, because it does make a difference. I have worked in the courtrooms. It makes a difference what DA is in the courtroom, whether some of our people will get life in prison, or some of our folks will be able to get access to programs. It makes a difference of who is literally in HUD and who is over these housing programs, whether we get access to those programs or not, or whether our interests are protected. It makes a difference. It is ahistorical to believe that public policy does not impact us. And so because of that, at the very least, just on one level of engagement, I understand the frustration that people have. They're saying, well, when I vote, I don't get all the things I want. Absolutely. You think I have gotten everything that I wanted, that I have not been disappointed by candidates, political parties, but at the end
sometimes they don't get none of what they want. But I think you raised an interesting point, which is that even if you didn't get anything that you want from this candidate, the alternative could have been 10 times worse. You might not only have not made progress, but you may have actually had retrenchment. You may have taken a step back.
So what Black people want, we find, is what everybody else wants. We want to be able to live a quality life where we actually, when we work, we are able to pay our bills. We're able to take care of our families. We want adequate health care. We want to make sure that we have quality housing, that we have education opportunities for our children. That's what we want. And all of those things are on the ballot. We should recognize that we're seeing a party that has aligned itself with saying something as simple as we're going to take Black history out of schools, that under the guise of CRT, that are literally trying to rewrite history and take us back 50 years or even not further. And so it is really important for us to really recognize that at the center of this, that our humanity is going to save us. We are going to have to stand in this space and fight like hell and recognize this ain't even about the parties. This ain't even about the candidates. This is squarely about us and how we use our agency to protect our community and push the envelope forward, because we ain't going back. We won't Black man.
Amen. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep winning. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be clean, but we will be victorious, because we've always been victorious when we fight and struggle together. LaTosha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.